to the queen to tell her her subjects had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. I'm assuming we're all good. I just can't see over here what you got going on.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Oh, all right. Good morning, peasants. Sorry for the little glitch starting out. Yesterday was a really interesting day. There were parts of the day yesterday where I was kind of down in the dumps with what's going on in Iran and in the world in general. But this morning I woke up and I had a much better attitude. So we're going to go through this today. Thank you to those of you who reached out to me yesterday. Yesterday's show was a tying it all together show. For us peasants, if in the opening there, right, it's the peasants that we have to live here, right? And we're the ones who kind of get screwed no matter what happens. And yesterday was one.
Go for your sip.
Oh, my sip. I'm going to get there. I don't know who's in yet. I don't know if Carlitz has made it or not. You see what I'm seeing there? Okay. Ron's doing a little technical work here, checking our monitors. So anyways, yesterday, those of you who reached out to me and said, you know, it was a good episode, I really appreciate it. It was kind of a hard episode because I was by myself, but I really appreciate it because it's important for us to understand the underlying stuff that's happening in the world around us. Because if we as peasants get caught up in the propaganda too much and we don't see through it, we make bad life decisions. Ron, would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. And what's even worse is when our leaders don't have real information either, and they make bad life decisions as well. So we're going to talk about some really interesting things that happened over the last 24 hours because the world is changing rapidly. But before we do that, I know why you're all here. You're here for the simultaneous sip. All you need is a cup or a mug or a glass or a tankard, a chalice or stein, a canteen, jug or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. And join me now for the unparalleled dopamine hit of the day, the simultaneous sip. And it starts right as I double check my sound. No, my sound is going to be good this time. Okay. And it starts right now.
We must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
That's back when war was easy.
Stop.
That's how we started out a 20-year occupation in Afghanistan and Iraq. Was watching George Bush's drive. I still don't have it over here.
Did they have a number come up on your screen?
I don't know. Should I tap it?
No, don't
turn it off. Turn it on. See what happens. Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, no, it's still not the right monitor. Damn it. Okay. Hey, you should just be able to do that, can't you? Sorry, guys. Ron's doing a monitor share thing that
work?
I can see the chats. I can see your system display.
Okay, good. Phew.
Oh, yeah. Now I see your stuff going on. All right. Carlitz, good morning. John Atakis, good morning. Carlitz, hey, Ron. You've got to look into the crater Earth theory. Ooh, Ron, that might be a good one for you. Carlitz, I have come to a way to explain flat Earth while still having a round Earth, and why everything is always a straight line away.
Is that because it's a disc?
No, it's
okay.
Because it's an XY axis with what's the distance. So no matter what, you're always. Anyways, I'll have to draw it and show, but it's probably already been thought through. Shantini, good morning. Parazer, good day in Boise. Douglas Wyatt, good morning, peasants. Weed and Boys on YouTube, good morning. Showed up on YouTube, but not on Rumble for me at last. Oh, good. Now it came up for me. Good morning, Pony Boy. Awesome. Weed and Boys and Pony Boys, the same person. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, before we jump into the real shindig for today, I just wanted to show you guys something kind of funny. We're going to start the show with a little Bill Clinton, and when we get to the end of the show, we're going to show a little Bill Clinton, okay? This is from his deposition, and it was pretty good. Now, these depositions obviously were long. I haven't watched all of them yet because, you know, there's a certain amount of hours in a day. And so a couple of these things I missed for the portions I watched, and this is one of the ones I missed. This is after Nancy Mace was grilling Bill Clinton. If you want to know what type of person Bill Clinton is, and I've spoken to a few people who have met him in person, this is par for the course. Even under the deposition, even here because of his association with Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker, and Jeffrey Epstein, an alleged sex trafficker who died in prison suspiciously, even though he's in a deposition for that, he still has the audacity to do this.
I didn't say anything for anything personal.
No, you didn't, but you had a great tone in your voice, and you're very good at it.
But just
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Thank you. And I did not go to Yale Law School or any law school for that matter.
He's hitting on Nancy Mace. You got a great voice. The attorney's like, shut up, you little pedophile, shut up. Just kidding. I can't say for certain that he's a pedophile.
I like
Alleged.
I like how he gets really comfortable and puts his arm around his attorney too.
Yeah, he's like, God, it's pretty. Okay, this morning, Kirill Dmitriev, who is he? He is Positive Sots, CEO of the Russian Direct Investment Fund, special envoy to the president of Russia for investment and economic cooperation. Views are my own. And he posted this morning. He posted a black swan. Ron, what's the significance of a black swan?
I really don't know.
For anybody who's talking about negotiations, it's that thing that doesn't make economic sense, right? Like I want to keep the land because it's family land. And so no price is going to satisfy. My black swan is my inheritance, right?
Okay.
Or, you know, there's certain black swan things. I want to say, back when I was doing a lot of foreclosures, black swan events were things like somebody was going through a divorce, deep discount, right? It's the thing that makes negotiation like a little bit different. It's the token that
but typically doesn't make financial sense.
It doesn't always make financial sense. Exactly. And so the black swan, though, is in reference to politics, is referencing the book, The Fourth Turning, about, you know, for those, probably most of our listeners are familiar with the concept of the fourth turning, but it's the event that changes everything. So you're going one direction. The system is kind of getting rough. Public trust in public institutions is waning. And then there's a black swan event, and it causes all the trends of corruption in government and all the trends of lack of, you know, cohesion. It causes all that to accelerate. And that is what I clearly think he's talking about, the war in Iran, obviously. And it's a black swan event. This is a huge event in the world. This could be the start of World War III or the end of it. You know what I mean? It could go either way. Tom Cotton was on Fox News, and he said this.
Iran targeted these Arab countries. They didn't plead for peace. They didn't ask Donald Trump to stop. They asked Donald Trump for targeting information so they could join in the strikes in Iran. That's what a real coalition looks like. We're all now fighting together to try to finally eliminate the threat that a revolutionary Iran poses to the United States, to our Arab friends, and to Israel.
And I think the chancellor.
So right when Iran got attacked, there was clearly some kind of dead man switch instructions to the Iranian National Guard to attack all their neighbors. They shot missiles at 7 of their neighbors. And I mean, this was like not a small deal. I mean, it hit airports, malls, hospitals. They hit an oil refinery down in Saudi Arabia that produces like 20% of the oil coming out of Saudi Arabia or something like that. Now, we also saw that, we listened yesterday on the episode, Tucker Carlson said there were Mossad operatives in different nations that were going to do these false flag attacks. And who knows, right? Who knows why these nations got attacked? But they were just going to sit on the sidelines and let America do their thing. But after they got attacked, Black Swan event, guess what? They're in for the fight now. So now America, along with Israel, along with 7 Gulf nations, are all stepping up to the fight. Let me fill you in on a couple things we're not going to be talking about today with clips and whatnot. One of the things that happened yesterday is Syria announced that they're sending Syrian troops to the Lebanese border to fight Hezbollah. So who's Hezbollah? Hezbollah is a Shiite group in Lebanon. They're a political group, but they're also a terrorist organization. So they've got like seats in parliament and missiles. It's
and
like
they're funded
it would
by...
be like if the Democrat Party had their own arsenal. Okay, it's like, ugh. So Syria is sending troops. Great, we could use all the help we get. Hold on, who are these Syrian troops? What's the story of Syria over the last decade? It's a failed state, right? Assad got ousted from power. He's in exile in Russia. And then Al-Qaeda had taken over Syria and basically established themselves as the dominant power. So Trump sued for peace and said, okay, Mr. Al-Qaeda leader that yesterday was a terrorist on the FBI's wanted list, you're now the president of Syria. Come on over to the White House. I'll take off the sanctions. Right. It's like, wow. So now we've got Al-Qaeda fighters who conquered Syria, who are now assisting the United States in dealing with Hezbollah and other, in Lebanon dealing with Hezbollah. Now, if you remember, Al-Qaeda, this group in Syria, right, helped us defeat ISIS. So we started Al-Qaeda to fight the Russians, and then Al-Qaeda fought America, and then we fought Al-Qaeda by creating ISIS, which then took over an area the size of Ohio. And then we went back to Al-Qaeda and we tried to get them and the Kurds to help fight ISIS until they finally defeated ISIS. So now we got Sunni Al-Qaeda defeating Shiite ISIS.
Very strange bedfellows.
Very strange bedfellows. Very strange bedfellows. Ex-CIA agent John Kirk, I can never say his last name. He's Greek. I really should be able to say his last name. Spent a couple years in prison. He said this about war, and this is the truth.
I was in the Gulf last week, and I was in the Gulf 3 weeks before that, and nobody was talking about war. I mean, they were talking about the possibility of an isolated American airstrike on Iran, but nobody was talking about war. I think that they were largely taken by surprise, and they weren't prepared for a sustained campaign. Now, a few days ago, President Trump said several times there would be no American ground troops, no boots on the ground. Yesterday, Secretary of Defense Hegseth refused to roll out ground troops. And then when pressed on the issue later in the day, the president said that he wasn't going to take a position on ground troops. This is not going to be a short thing. I think that the administration is serious about regime change. This is what the likes of Lindsey Graham, who is the new John McCain, exactly what they want. And I think that they are willing to fight until they, kill as many people as they want to kill and create chaos. Mike, the thing about these regime change wars, too, if you look at Afghanistan, you look at Iraq, now you look at Iran, or even at Libya or Somalia or Syria, it never turns out the way the planners in Washington think it's going to turn out. It's never easy. It is easy to attack. It's easy to overthrow a government. It is nearly impossible to usher in a period of peace and democracy where everybody's happy and they all live happily ever after. That's just in the fairy tales.
Yeah, it's just in the fairy tales. Now, his experience was with the Uniparty that's been around that wanted a democracy build, lecture kingdoms about democracy and stuff like that. Trump is different. So we don't know what the full game plan is here. So we'll see. Ponyboy says in the chat, we're just lifting our enemies left and right. The question you have to ask Ponyboy is, were they actually our enemies? Do we really want to engage with our enemies for 20 years? Or were they never really our enemies? They were our frenemies. You know what I'm saying? But Iran feels a little bit more like an enemy. Now, Tim Burchart said something kind of funny in response to a comment Lindsey Graham made about the Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon, raising their ugly head again. And he said, we need to send bombers over to Lebanon and we need to destroy Hezbollah now. And it was like, wow. Well, Tim Burkhart got asked about that. And he said one of the funniest things I've ever heard about Lindsey Graham.
Senator Lindsey Graham is now calling for the U.S. to start bombing Lebanon in response to the Hezbollah IDF action.
Lindsey hadn't seen a fist fight he hasn't wanted to turn into a bombing, right? So I just take it with a grain of salt, dude.
Lindsey hasn't seen a fist fight he didn't want to turn into a bombing raid, so take it like a grain of salt. Ron, dude, what were you pointing at?
That's the same dude that said Lindsey Graham hasn't seen somebody he didn't want. Oh, what was it? He hasn't seen something he didn't want to invade, including women's panties or something. It was some joke like that. It was
something good. It's an open secret that Lindsey Graham is probably gay. As you guys know, one of our great openers is this one.
Hey, Lindsey, why don't you just admit that you're gay and then people won't blackmail you anymore?
All right, guys, we are all peasants. no matter where you're at in the world, you are a peasant. If you're not sitting in some seat of authority, you're just another dude being controlled, right? So this is an image. This is a video that popped up on social media in China and made its way out of China onto X. And this is Chinese construction workers in Iran. So, you know, this is like a problem all around the world, migrants taking over jobs in sovereign countries. So migrants from China are doing hard construction work in Iran as if they don't have an unemployment problem in Iran. You know what I mean? Anyways, these Chinese migrants, okay. I remember a couple of years ago, I read a memoir by an author, and I don't remember who it was, but he was in Egypt during one of their revolutions. And he was there to cover the political discord and the revolution. And he was having coffee at the little diner across the street from his hotel, just sipping tea, just quietly doing his thing. And he said 6 blocks away, and he didn't even hear them, there were Blackhawks taking over the palace, and the whole coup happened while he was just sipping his tea 6 blocks away. You know, finally went back, opened up the newspaper, opened up the internet, was like, oh my gosh, it happened. You know, that's how quickly things can happen. Peasants just live their lives. If right now, this second, think about yourself right now. If right now, this second, there was a bomb that exploded over DC and we were trying to figure out if the president was alive and if the House of Representative members are around and who's still in charge of the chain of command, would you still go to work today? The answer is you probably would.
Well, yes, I'll tell you. So when 9/11 happened, I watched the Twin Towers come down on the TV, and then I got in my car and went to work.
And I got in my car and went to school. Okay, that's exactly right. Life goes on. So here's these Chinese workers working up on these steel girders, and a missile strikes the building they're working on. This is not good. This is not good. Can you believe that? That's war, ladies and gentlemen. What is it good for?
Jeez.
They're just going about their daily lives, and all of a sudden, a missile strikes.
Wow.
That could be you. That could be you any minute. One of the things that they did, Iran has all this missile defense tech, right? And what the Israelis did in their opening strike was they went way up in the atmosphere, and they launched the missile up high, okay, from an F-15. It went way up into space where their radar couldn't tack it. And when it came down on Iran, it came straight down at like Mach 5. Ayatollah dead.
Wow.
Okay. They couldn't even see it coming. The launch trajectory was into space from a jet.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So Pete Hegseth, which is turning out to be an unbelievable Secretary of the Department of War, I'll tell you, you know, nothing like having a battle-hardened combat veteran that wasn't even a general. The guy was only a colonel, okay, or lieutenant colonel even. I'm not even sure what his final rank was, lieutenant colonel or colonel. He's now running the military, Secretary of Defense, and he has the right idea about this conflict. Unlike Rumsfeld and unlike previous secretaries of defense that played not to lose, Pete Hegseth is playing to win.
Long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be. Thus far, Operation Epic Fury has delivered twice the air power.
And there's been over 2,000 sites that have been hit.
I appreciate how honest he's being.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like Richard Sherman after the Seahawks beat the Green Bay Packers in the NFC conference finals way back when they went to the Super Bowl. And the Green Bay Packers were up in the fourth quarter. And then they tied and went to overtime. And then the Seahawks won. And Richard Sherman was like, you got to beat us. You got to keep your foot on our neck. You let off. Same thing, guys. If you want to win, keep the foot on the neck till the bell rings. Donald Trump was asked in the Oval Office about why we're doing what we're doing, regime change. You know, is this norm? What's going on? This is a four-minute clip here. I want to play all of it. This is the President of the United States, and we are at the opening salvos of what could be the end or the beginning of World War III. So
the beginning or the end of the world.
Or the beginning or the end of the world.
Yeah.
You know, every major conflict is like this. And, you know, the normalcy bias of eventually things end and things like that. Yeah, I mean, eventually this will wrap up, but who's going to be in charge at the end? Right. This is a power grab. This is a zero-sum game around the world. Someone's got to be in charge and someone isn't. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with domestic politics. Someone's got to be in charge and someone isn't. This is Donald Trump explaining why we have to go after Iran. It's important. This is the president. This is the guy that has all the intelligence. This is the decision maker.
Evil. It's not the politics. It's their whole philosophy. It's their whole where they come from. It's terrible. Where they killed 35,000. I thought it was 32. Now it turns out it's much more than 35,000 people. And in some cases, using machine guns with people that have no weapon. They have no weapon, and they're being machine gunned. They're being sniped from buildings. They're hitting the people with snipers right through the eyes. It's just a very evil ideology, and nobody's really seen anything like it. As I said, even the fact that they've attacked all of their neighbors, and the neighbors weren't attacking. They thought they'd maybe sit it out or what. They've hit Qatar, they've hit UAE, they've hit Saudi Arabia, they've hit Oman. They were helping us negotiate. They got hit. Everybody got hit because they're evil and they're bad. It's a bad seed, and somebody had to do it, and it should have been done sometime during a 47-year period because so much death has been caused by them. So much unbelievable death. From Germany, too. Germany's been hit. Everybody's been hit by them. It's an evil ideology. And I've never been, look, I've done a lot of good things. So many people say, thank you, thank you, thank you. You see it in the streets of Los Angeles. They have thousands of people. I saw it the other day, pictures of Donald Trump. And I'm looking, I'm on the phone, probably talking to you. And I'm looking, and I see my picture. I say, oh, no, it's another protest. I see my, and then I started saying, boy, they were very friendly people. And then I saw a woman hugging the picture of me. I said, what's going on? And it turned out to be these are Iranian people that live in the United States. So many. Thousands and thousands. You saw the rallies. And in New York, too, they had a big rally. My pictures all over the place. The fact is that people are happy what we did. And you could never, and I've always said it, you could never have had true peace in the Middle East if Iran was allowed to go, even beyond the nuclear. If Iran was allowed to have look at all the missiles they built. A lot have been now taken out by us, and a lot have been expended. But they had thousands of missiles in a fairly short period of time. And I'll go two things. The attack that we did, known as Midnight Hammer, had we not done that, Iran would have had a very powerful nuclear weapon within 1 month. We did it. It was great timing, but, and you've been able to see that too. The other thing was Barack Hussein Obama made maybe the worst deal I've ever seen because he gave all power in the Middle East to Iran. He went the exact opposite way, and I terminated that. If I didn't terminate that deal, they would be sitting with a massive nuclear weapon 3 years ago, which would have been used already on Israel at least, and other countries also. And we wouldn't be talking about it right now. But if I didn't terminate the deal that Obama made, giving them everything, including plane loads of cash. Do you remember the airplane flew over there? It was a Boeing 757. It was two of them, loaded. They took out all the seats. It was loaded with green cash. So much cash that it was in Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. They got all the cash from all the banks. They put it, and they flew it to Iran. I never knew a president had that power. I'm going to maybe try it sometime if it's okay. I think I'm going to do it. I'll fly it somewhere. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Two planes loaded from floor to ceiling. Big planes, Boeing 757s, taken over there and given cash. In addition to that, he was giving them billions of dollars. But worse, he was giving them the right to have the path to a nuclear weapon. And that deal expired. A lot of people said, oh, you terminated it. Well, it was going to be terminated anyway because it expired. It gave them the right to have top-of-the-line nuclear weapon. If they had, because they're crazy. just like the people on my right during the State of the Union. I looked at them, I said, you're crazy? These people are crazy. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. All right, how about one or two more?
That is a simple message that every peasant can understand.
Yep.
These people are evil. They're bad. They do bad things, and they've been doing bad things for 47 years, and nobody has stopped them. They haven't stopped them for a whole bunch of reasons. We don't have enough military might to actually invade and take over Iran. There's too many connections. We don't want to do that. We're not virtuous. We don't want endless wars, and the excuses go on and on. Douglas McGregor, who sometimes has some pretty good analysis, he was a former colonel in the military. He was on with Matt Gaetz, and he's kind of a doomer. Now, this is what he's saying to Matt Gaetz.
Well, China and Russia are sitting on the sidelines monitoring everything. They're in close touch with the government. They're providing satellite intelligence, which accounts for some of the tremendous successes, particularly in Israel and our U.S. bases. All of our bases have been destroyed.
So what he's saying is China and Russia are providing to the Iranians satellite targeting locations for the targets in the places that they've been hitting. Okay.
Our harbor installations are destroyed. We're actually having to fall back on India and Indian ports, which are less than ideal. That's what the Navy says. And I think Iran, much to our disappointment, is faring very, very well. China,
I don't know. It's hard to know. Fog of war. You got Chinese construction workers wondering what's going on the building they're building. They probably feel like all that effort to raise that skyscraper, it's kind of out the window as they're watching the foundation get hit by a missile. You know what I mean? Like,
he's probably like, so I guess it's lunch break.
Being on a job site, right? Excavation. It's like I put in septic tanks. So you dig a nice big hole. You're like, okay, tanks are coming in the morning. You get out there in the morning and the hole sloughed in. Yeah. You're like, no!
You got to jump in there real quick.
Start from scratch. Yeah. Anyways, so Douglas McGregor is saying we're running out of weapons. We can't be at our ports. Here's what I would say. Donald Trump knows what he's doing. He actually had 4 years out of office to sit and plan this. And I promise you, this was part of the game plan. What are we going to do with Iran? They cannot have a nuclear weapon. We cannot rearrange the world order while we've still got some loose ends out there.
Right.
Makes sense to me. So they've game planned this. And one of the things that obviously a lot of these people that, and I can't say I haven't been one of these people that criticize the American empire, just like every empire, they get bloated. And there's a lot of different videos going out there, specifically with this Chinese analyst who's like, listen, Iran's got these drones. They cost $35,000 to $50,000 to make. They line 20 of them up in a semi truck. They can launch them, right? And this is low cost. And what does the United States military have to use to defeat one of these drones? And then he shows a missile, like a Patriot missile. Each missile is $1 million. It's got this big machine. Takes a lot of logistics. Yep. So for $35,000, we can cost you $1 million, and you're going to run out of missiles sooner than we run out of drones, right? So that's the idea. That's what has prevented America from going into Iran, is this thought that, hey, these guys can go low tech while we're high tech, and we end up losing because we spend too much. This is how empires fall, with endless wars. Unfortunately, people like Douglas McGregor and the other people who have said, we're running out of missiles, we don't have enough. Maybe we're not using missiles. Has you ever thought that our military is able to adapt?
First time, U.S. Central Command's drone task force, called Task Force Scorpion Strike, launched countless one-way attack drones, achieving massive effects. I'd like to point out these drones were originally an Iranian design. We took them back to America, made them better, and fired them right back at Iran. I just could not be prouder of our men and women in uniform, leveraging innovation to create dilemmas for the enemy. There is no adversary too determined, no mission too difficult for the great soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, and Coast Guardsmen that make up the most powerful military the world has ever seen. Our military objectives are crystal clear, and our people are executing an immensely complex and historic mission with relentless lethality, conviction, and professionalism. And we've just begun. But I have the utmost confidence that we, alongside our partners, will absolutely achieve our military objectives. To all our warriors, Godspeed. Thanks so much.
Sometimes I feel so childlike, because when he said, we got their drones, and when we turn around and bounce them back at them, I was like, My immediate thought was, I am rubber, you are glue. Bounce off me.
Everything you say bounces off you. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so why are people such doomsayers when it comes to Iran? So there's this Iranian exile group that played Washington for this moment. And this article is coming from Political. It was published yesterday by Caitlin Oprsinko and Daniel Barnes. Some of these pronunciations. And it goes through here and it describes how this Iranian group has been funneling money into Washington and paying people. For example, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And then there was a name that popped up here that caught me a little bit off guard. Many of the speakers are paid lavishly for their participation. Vice President Mike Pence received more than $400,000 in speaking fees from NCRI and affiliate groups after leaving office in 2021. Okay, now this group is allegedly a free Iranian group, but there's a lot of people, when you go research this in our CI group, this is one of those wolf in sheep clothing's group, right? Hey, our objective is free Iran, because you can't hold a conference in the United States that says, keep the Ayatollah in power. Okay. So if you want people to lobby for you, you've got to have a front. Okay. And the front is free Iran. And so they've been taking money from the Iranians, which is probably one of the reasons why, although we've been spending time in Afghanistan and Iraq, they're neighbors, we haven't really done anything about Iran, even though they were sending, suicide bombers. They were funding the insurgencies that we were fighting with. Why? Well, there's a thread to pull on. There's a lot of politicians in Washington that were taking money that was coming from Iran.
Was it probably buying complacency?
Huh?
Was it buying complacency?
Yeah, I guess. You want to see an example of buying complacency to the detriment of the United States? Kristi Noem was on the hot seat yesterday in the Senate, and it was ugly. It was ugly. They are absolutely setting up an impeachment trap for Kristi Noem and probably Donald Trump. Just became super obvious yesterday. Let me show you a clip of Tom Tillis when he was talking to the Department of Homeland Security Director under Joe Biden. Now, keep in mind, this clip right here is while the border was wide open. 15 to now Trump says 25 million people poured across this border in 4 years. This is Tom Tillis grilling Alejandro Mayorkas, who eventually was held in contempt he was impeached by the House, and the Senate didn't take it up. This is Tom Tillis from North Carolina.
Case to get hundreds of thousands of dollars in payout. It's going to be another reason why it's a crisis and not just a situation we're trying to work through. Thank you, and I wish you good health.
Thank you, Senator.
So we're paying migrants to cross the border, $100,000. It creates, kind of a poll. Thank you. I wish you good health. Okay. Now, yesterday, he was talking to Kristi Noem, and the tone was a little bit different. So Alejandro Mayorkas, who opened the border to let 25 million people in, rapists, murderers, terrorists, all of it. Then we get Kristi Noem, who's working to expel those people from the United States. The American people voted on this. This was top of the agenda. 2026, build a wall. 2024, send them all home. Okay. This is Tom Tillis grilling Kristi Noem.
Why am I disappointed with Secretary Noem? Because we're not going after enough people who did this damage at the expense of running numbers that Stephen Miller wants out of the White House.
So Stephen Miller wants to deport the 25 million people that Alejandro Mayorkas let in, and Tom Tillis is big mad about it.
We just want numbers. We want 1,000 a day, 6,000 a day, 9,000.
Isn't that what Biden said? We just want numbers. Let them in, let them in, let them in. Isn't that what just happened? And you're turning it around and throwing it on Kristi Noem because she wants numbers going the other direction?
1,000 a day because numbers matter, right? No, they don't matter. Quality matters, not quantity, quality. And what we've seen is a disaster. Under your leadership, Ms. Noem, a disaster.
Does that sound like a Republican? Or does that sound like somebody that's the old school Republican country club guy that's like, yeah, let the migrants in, they're cheap labor to pick our almonds. We just want numbers coming in and, we can vet a few people, criminals at the border. Yeah, Alejandro Mayorkas, I hope you have good health. Meanwhile, Kristi Noem, who's actually making an impact and making a dent, and there's been a lot of paid for agitation and all kinds of stuff. And Tom Tillis reacts that way. These people are retarded. Tom Tillis is acting like he's part of Code Pink. Code Pink, who approached Senator Scott in the hallway of Congress, and Senator Scott had a much better approach than Tom Tillis.
They were attacked by the.
Are you?
They were attacked by the U.S. and
You
Israel
think-
while
you
we
think
were
that-
negotiating. In a war with Iran.
Because they are building missiles and want to kill all of us.
They wanted to kill all of us. Well, the U.S. intelligence said that there was no threat from Iran. Iran wanted to kill us.
Do you not follow the news? They put out estimates all the time.
Yeah, well, saying something like that and actually doing something.
Oh, so people that are saying
America
they're
has
building
slogan.
weapons and trying to build nuclear weapons and they want to destroy America and we shouldn't take them seriously.
They were attacked
How
by
dumb
the.
are you?
They were attacked by the U.S.
How dumb are
and
you?
Israel
think-
while we
think
were
that-
negotiating.
You think that it's okay for people to say they want to destroy us and it's okay? We should just ignore that.
As long as they're not doing anything.
100 missiles. They're not doing anything.
You know why they? You know why they have hatred to America?
You're not doing anything. They're building 100 missiles a month. They've killed countless people with roadside bombs. They're funding Hezbollah and Hamas simultaneously. Right? What do you mean they're not doing anything? Now, here's the thing. For even the ardent leftists who love someone like Zohran Mamdani, even Mamdani gets it.
I've said before that the Iranian government has engaged in systematic repression of its own people, even killing thousands of Iranians who were seeking to express the most basic forms of dissent earlier this year. It is a brutal government.
It's that simple. Even Zohran Mamdani understands it. And Americans are completely ignorant to what really the situation in Iran is. This is an Iranian who explains it in the simplest and clearest terms, Ron. Imagine if we, the United States of America, was being run by people that we knew were not Americans, right? That's why our founding fathers made sure that the president had to be born in America. You could not be a foreigner. You couldn't be Elon Musk. You had to actually be born in America. Why? To avoid situations like this.
So you know when you hear us Persians say that we've been foreign occupied by Islam, what we mean is genuinely the people that have taken us over, these guys right here, they are not even Iranian. They are not even Persian. These lot are Arab Islamists who have come into our country, taken us over, and forced our people to follow their rules. Look at the flag that they replaced ours with. Can you see the small letters embedded within the flag? These are Arabic letters. Our own people can't even read the flag. This is the level of foreign occupation we're talking about. And I think not many people are aware of the situation. So it's important to spread this message so you guys understand what we're going through here and why we're so passionate about getting our land back.
I can't read those letters either.
I can't read those letters either. It kind of reminds me of in Minnesota, how they changed the flag to look like the Somali flag. Same thing happening there. You got a foreign occupied situation. Now, yesterday there is a group inside of Iran that we're not gonna watch this because it's in I can't remember. I think they speak Farsi. Ron, will you Google see what language Iran speaks so I don't mess it up? But she says it seems we are living the last hours of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Maryam Rajivi announces live to the Iranian people, apparently after approval from the United States, the creation of an Iranian transitional government. Maryam Rajavi is an Iranian politician, leader of the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, PMOI, an organization that fights against the Iranian regime. She is also the elected president of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, founded in 1993. She is married to Masoud Rajavi, who is missing. Both lead the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran together. So she gave that speech, and so did the son of the Shah, right? He also gave a speech basically telling the Iranian people, listen, we have to form a transitional government and we got to do it quick, right? Before total chaos breaks out. Somebody's got to pay the paycheck to the guy at the DMV. Somebody's got to pay the paycheck to the guy at the water treatment facility plant. You know what I mean? This was the big mistake in Afghanistan. We fired all those people. This is the mistake we're not making in Venezuela. They're letting the system stay in place, and we're just putting massive amounts of pressure on their leaders to do the right things, release the political prisoners, pick up the trash, sell the oil at market rate, put the money back into your own economy, right? Like basic stuff, rather than destroy the whole apparatus. We're keeping it in place, and we're hopefully in Venezuela going to let free elections clean out the trash. Hopefully we do the same thing here in the United States as well. And if that's the plan in Venezuela, it's the best chance of Iranian success. You know what I mean? But just like everything, just like John Kirknow says, okay, just like he says, you think you have a plan until you get punched back and things change. We found out yesterday that they're already starting to arm an insurgency in Iran, and it's coming from the Kurds.
The CIA working to arm Kurdish forces to stage some sort of a major ground operation going inside Iran. They want to spark an uprising. The details are incredible. What are you learning?
That's right, Aaron. It's a lot to unpack. Honestly, this story continues to develop at a breakneck speed and often in mind-bending ways. We spent some time this evening with a senior Iranian Kurdish politician here in Iraqi Kurdistan who basically told us that the expectation among Kurdish Iranian opposition forces is that they will be going into Western Iran as part of some kind of a ground operation over the course or at some point during the next few days, that they will have support from the U.S. and from Israel, though he would not be drawn as to what exactly that support will look like. He also told us that President Trump himself had called the leader of the KDPI, which is one of these Iranian Kurdish opposition parties, today, and that they had what he characterized, I should say, as a positive conversation. Though, again, he did not give any details, and he said that we should be prepared for some surprises potentially tomorrow. Again, not giving details, but this is all coming at the same time as our colleagues Natasha Bertrand, Elena Treen, and Zachary Cohen are learning that the CIA has been working to arm Iranian Kurdish opposition forces with the goal of fomenting civil unrest in Iran. And they spoke to a number of different...
The CIA is working to arm the Kurds to foment unrest in Iran and be the ground troops. So here are some of those Kurdish people that are going to be doing this. These are the people that are being armed. This is a great example. But the CIA, I need everybody to remember, the CIA is doing that. So this hits the news wire. CIA is arming Kurds to come in. Okay, so here's the Kurds that they're arming.
As a revolutionary woman, I have the best feeling in the world. We have never thought Kurdish girls should not be involved in revolutions. We have always fought shoulder to shoulder with men.
Here in the mountains of Iraqi Kurdistan, these Kurdish female fighters have been training for years. They've been our allies in the fight against ISIS. Now they're spoiling for a new fight. The Ayatollah in their sights. They're desperate to liberate their Kurdish families across Iran.
The regime has behaved brutally, not only against the Kurds, but also against its own people.
Just 3 weeks ago, 20-year-old Galara was living a much different life in Iran. Then she saw it for herself. The regime's crackdown, Kurds and Persians alike massacred in the streets. She fled her old home to join this all-female fighting force. Intent on liberating the Kurdish minority towns she left behind.
Before coming here, I was in the protests for 4 to 5 days. Now, with no doubt, our people here and in Iranian Kurdistan do not fear a war.
When will you decide to go in to start the fight?
First, I want to thank America for its position against the Islamic Republic and its crimes.
Commanding this unit, 27-year-old Adila. She calls for an independent Kurdistan, a dream denied for generations. 40 million of her people have been subjugated and scattered across Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran.
I want America to attack the core of the Islamic Republic. To topple a regime that has committed all these crimes over 47 years requires outside support. Our struggle is ongoing, and Kurdistan's Free Army has been active inside the land, in Iran.
Their unit, like the men's, holds here in the mountains, praying for the United States to start a war in the sky so they can start theirs on the ground.
And there you have it.
Okay.
Thoughts, Ron?
I got a few. So my first one was, I really hope this is AI, but it's not.
No, that is not it. I would look a lot better than that.
So then my next thought was, man, this really feels like it was created by the CIA, because this is mostly just a psychological thing. This can't be real. This is a joke.
That's real.
That's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I could have played the clip where they had the integrated troops with the men, but it was in whatever language, so it was pointless to play. But that's it. Those are the Kurds. Those are the people that stood side by side with us on the ground. When I see that, and I think about the American military might, and I think about Black Hawks that are stealth flying into Venezuela, and then I see this, you know what I think? Fodder.
Yeah.
Fodder.
No, I was like, this looks like somebody LARPing.
Yes! The whole CIA is a LARP. The whole CIA is a LARP.
They're handling their weapons like I've never seen anybody hold a gun by the barrel. What? And then they're walking around with these flags 20 feet in the air. Nobody does that. Whatever.
Again, fodder. We're the peasants. They're peasants. You're a Chinese steelworker. You're a peasant. You think that Chinese steelworker deserves that? That guy's an honorable man. He's riveting steel. You know what I mean? He's a migrant trying to probably send money back to his family in a country where there's not enough women for him to have an opportunity to get married. So he's going to Iran to build a skyscraper, right?
Yeah.
These Kurdish women, they're part of a protest. One of the biggest things that was offensive to me was when James Clapper and John Brennan called the January 6ers equivalent to the American Taliban. That's what they envisioned. That we went to a protest for a day and then we're going to join some militia. So we got to go to jail. You know what I mean? Okay, but here's the thing. The CIA, that hit the news wires. CIA is now arming the Kurds. So you know what somebody in Iran decided to do?
Fox News alert. An official source has confirmed that a suspected Iranian drone has hit a CIA station in Saudi Arabia's capital. Jennifer Griffin is live in Washington. Jennifer, what do we know?
Well, Jessica, we've confirmed with an official source that, in fact, it was an Iranian drone that struck the station, the CIA station in Riyadh. It was part of that U.S. Embassy compound, part of that drone strike last night that led to damage at the embassy. This is certainly a symbolic victory for the IRGC. Nobody was injured. Nobody was at the embassy at the time. The Washington Post was the first to report on the incident, and that it was, in fact, the CIA station that was targeted and hit. But what this indicates is that drones, the Iranian drones, are going to be a big problem. They can take out the missile launchers and even the missile stockpiles, but they have thousands, if not tens of thousands of these drones, and anyone can put them in the back of a truck and fire them. These are really the new suicide bombs of the next phase in the Middle East, and they're going to be a problem for some time.
Nobody was killed, but the official announcement that came out later was more than 650 U.S. military personnel were killed or wounded by Iran's retaliatory operation.
650?
Yeah. Now it is.
That's a lot different than nobody.
Let's pause here.
Okay.
In fairness, that headline is coming from Iran, IRGC. So, Fox News just told us nobody died, but then again, it is a CIA outpost. Does our government make a habit of telling us how many people are in CIA bases?
No.
So it's just as likely they're lying to us about nobody died, our undercover ops. Who are these people? These are the people that burn off their fingerprints. You know what I mean? So who are these people? 0 to 650 people died in that strike. Okay. But hey, CIA's arming Kurds. Kapowie! Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Here's the problem with that, too. That particular outpost had all the satellites, which is part of how Trump is going to help navigate people through the Strait of Hormuz. So that actually was a really big deal. That was one of our very, very, very strategic places. It's right there on the tip, right there at the strait. So President Trump, while all this chaos is going on, while everything is happening over in the Middle East,
of course, President Trump wants same day.
He takes the time. He takes the time on his Truth Social to post this. Now, this is a clip to our listeners who've been longtime listeners. This is pretty familiar. He takes this time to post this clip from Tommy Tuberville.
And then, of course, President Trump wants same-day voting, mail ballots, get rid of these voting machines. There's a half a dozen people, whether it's the House or Senate, Larry, that are up here as we speak, that did not get elected. It was all bogus because we've seen the evidence. And if we don't straighten that out, you're going to see a lot more of it this fall. And it's just going to get worse and worse with the American people saying, listen, we got all y'all up there and you don't do anything to straighten it out. We want closed borders and we want We want fair elections. Those two things they are demanding. And as Republicans, we had better to listen to them and do that, or we're going to lose next fall.
A lot of states, don't even.
So Donald Trump, in the midst of all this chaos in Iran, posts a clip saying some of the senators, at least a dozen of them, aren't elected. What was the episode yesterday? That Venezuela
just there,
Iran?
Larry Kudlow, when Tuberville was talking to him and mentioned, he goes, but does not ask a follow-up question. So does he know that this has been going on the whole time?
Come on. You not? That's what kills me about this.
I know, but it's just so telling.
Be a moron not to see some of this stuff. Tommy Tuberville, some of them aren't elected. That's interesting.
That's
so
really interesting.
We have a government or not? We've seen the evidence.
It's so telling.
We've seen the evidence. We've seen the evidence. We have to fix this. Trump posts this in the middle of an attack on Iran. And to my knowledge, I am the only person that's broadcasting to a grand small number of people on Rumble right now, couple people on X, couple people on YouTube, that is telling you that these strikes, the takeout of Maduro and Iran, has way more to do with elections. And it's completely justified through the elections. To kill the sovereign leader of these nations is 1,000% justified based on the knowledge that they overthrew our country in 2020, opened our border, and caused all kinds of mayhem and havoc. And it has affected your life. It doesn't matter who you are in the United States. Inflation touches all of us. Immigration touches all of us, right? Jobs and lack thereof, because they're going to immigrants, touches all of our communities. They weren't elected. That happened because we had an occupier in the White House and in the Senate and in the House and as governor and all these other positions. So that came out. Trump posted that. And then I woke up this morning and I saw a really interesting post by Governor Jared Polis of Colorado. Now, this starts out with Ash in America. She says, if you're still not sold, even with Governor Polis making the case, I laid it out here in the comments. So there's same statute, different outcomes. Jaquez Lewis was charged with the same statutes that Tina Peters was charged with. She got probation while Tina Peters remains in prison. So after Trump posted that, Jared Polis, and of course, just 2 days ago, he posted again, free Tina Peters. Okay. Jared Polis, governor of Colorado, posted this. Last week, former state Senator Sonia Jaquez Lewis was sentenced to probation and community service after being convicted of 4 felonies. 4 felonies, including attempt to influence a public official. She made a horrible mistake and she was wrong. I hope she learns from this and can rebuild her life. As someone who has known Sonia as a friend for many years, on a personal level, I was glad that he or she isn't going to prison, which is a hard place for anyone, no less a retired 68-year-old pharmacist. But it is not lost on me that she was convicted of the exact same felony charge as Tina Peters, attempting to influence a public official. And yet Tina Peters, a nonviolent first-time offender, got a 9-year sentence. Hello? Hello, Governor Polis. This has been true when she was sentenced. It was as true then as it is now. You just have now had the hypocrisy of the 2-tiered system of justice put on your desk. You can't deny it now. Same charges, public official, a state senator. Same charges, public official, an election worker. Same charges, same age, almost, older. Oh, now you're seeing this? What do you think J6ers have been saying? What do you think blacks have been saying about crack cocaine versus cocaine disparity in sentencing? The system's broken, clearly. And even if you have good politicians, the judicial system does its own thing, right? Which is why our founding fathers gave governors and gave the president the pardon power to correct the errors of the legislature when they write bad laws and to correct the errors of the judicial branch when they have a 2-tiered or an ineffective system of justice that doesn't provide proper due process, okay? Justice in Colorado and America need to be applied evenly. You never know when you might need to depend on the rule of law. There are no laws. There are only cops. And Governor Polis, you're the top cop. You never know when you might need the rule of law. Rule of law is deflection. That's how the powerful don't have to take blame for swinging the sword. But you swung the sword on Tina Peters. You're in charge of that. You could have made that all go away. It was your executive branch that dragged her into a courtroom.
Could have made it go away. Proof. Boom.
Poof. Yeah. I know how easy it is to make, I don't know, a 7-year prison sentence go away. Stroke of a pen, they're ripping me out of my cell and putting me out the front door. This is the context I am using as I consider cases like this that have the sentencing disparities, which is why I have extended the deadline for clemency applications until April 3rd. I will be making decisions on these cases throughout the remainder of my governorship. Great. Tina Peters, get your application for clemency in. That's a tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a tell. That's hypocrisy being put in the face of the people who administer the law, right? Same charges. Either we have rule of law or we don't. We've been operating under a system of enforcement. There are no laws, there are only cops. Last night in Texas, they had the primaries, and a couple of interesting things happens. Jasmine Crockett lost her primary.
Oh, boo.
And she lost her primary to this guy. This guy scares me.
Oh, really?
Genuinely scares me. He's currently in the House of Representatives. This guy is a smooth operator. This guy is convincing. And this guy is bad.
Oh, man. Am I going to be wishing for Jasmine back?
You're going to wish it.
The reason poverty exists in the wealthiest country on earth is not because we can't feed the poor. It's because we can't satisfy the rich. But what we can do is tax trillionaires out of existence and use that money to guarantee food, healthcare, and housing for every single American.
Somebody should tell them money's not real. You don't need to tax the trillionaires to give the money to the poor. You could just print it. That right there, when people talk about taxing the rich, they're talking about taking their assets. It's not about tax. It's about taking property. And here is him again at a different, at the debate with Jasmine Crockett. This right here, you'd think would be the only commercial you'd need to defeat him.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. Our southern border.
Yep.
Well, that's everything I need to know.
So he is now the Democrat nominee for Senate.
Wow.
Now, he's a smooth operator. Let's put him next to John Cornyn. Who wins? Not John Cornyn. Not John Cornyn.
I don't know who John Cornyn is.
He's the current senator of Texas. One of them. Okay. He's in his 70s or 60s or whatever. Nobody under 40 is going to vote for John Cornyn, and Republicans hate him because he's anti-Trump. So if John Cornyn, Ken Paxton and John Cornyn are now going into a runoff. Why? Because Wesley Hunt decided to run for Senate as a Republican and stole votes from Paxton. No other explanation. He got like 100,000 votes. And Paxton didn't win the primary outright by 50,000, 60,000 votes. So again, Wesley Hunt, you did your job. You prevented Paxton from winning outright.
Good job.
Okay. They spent $100 million, Mitch McConnell and his band of merry men. They spent $100 million on the Cornyn campaign and barely squeaked out a runoff against Paxton. Had Wesley Hunt not been there, Paxton would have run away with the primary, and it would be Paxton who could probably defeat this guy here. But if Cornyn ends up taking it, oh my gosh, they have achieved their dream of flipping Texas blue.
Someday we're going to have an episode where we talk about how do you spend $100 million on a campaign.
Talk about
Where's
feeding
all
the
the money
poor.
go?
You talk about feeding the poor. I'm pretty sure you could feed the poor with that money, right? But instead, you're running it on commercials, a bunch of attack ads.
Right.
Now, Van Jones was on CNN and he talked about Talico. I am so bad with these names. He talked. I always used to say, remember the names, and I can't even pronounce them. But anyways, he says this all started with a hoax. Right. This should have been Jasmine Crockett's seat.
By the whole thing with Stephen Colbert. That was a big rocket for him. You had to be a real news nerd to know who he was before then. But that moment where, suddenly, Stephen Colbert, who's obviously a legend among Democrats, says, hey, this kid, Trump and these guys don't want to hear from. I'm going to let you hear from him now. That's when he really, he got $2.5 million, I think, the next day. And it put him on the map. You could see it kind of irritated Jasmine Crockett a little bit that he was getting all this attention. because up until then, I mean, she was very far ahead. If in fact he closes, probably that's the day that started.
Yeah, I definitely think it was true. Like you said, we obviously knew Tallarico. We were covering him, looking at, the kind of personality he was, but it was completely different after that.
Pay for that level.
You can't, which is ironic because it was Jasmine Crockett who before was getting all the sort of, earned media online.
Scott, you look skeptical.
But let's just admit it was an op, right? I mean, Trump had nothing to do with it. It was CBS's lawyers that had raised internal issues. I mean, it was a total sort of a hoax about how they positioned it. But I tend to agree.
Details.
I know. I'm glad they're. But I tend to agree.
It was a total hoax. This is the interview that Trump doesn't want you to see. Turns out it was the CBS lawyers didn't want to have Jasmine Crockett on.
So I'm actually going to take a different position than you have.
Okay.
I think this is great because now when Tallarico is positioned, when we attack him on his policies, we can't be called racist.
Hey, that's not bad, Ron. That's not bad. That's not bad. Jumping over into the chats, Ponyboy asked, wait, not the same Mujahideen that we helped create to fight Russia and turned into Al-Qaeda? My guess is Mujahideen is kind of like jihad. It has a definition. So I don't know if it's that group. I think that group was kind of like saying revolutionary group, So I don't know what that word means. Carlitos, we're still waiting for housing prices to drop while America frees the world. Americans still can't afford to buy a home. A bit frustrating. Yes, it is. And that's why in the future, the buses will be free one way or the other. Either the Tallarico way or, some other way. Carlitos also says, dude, Abbott won by a landslide. We voted for Doc Chambers. I got to honestly say, I didn't really follow the Texas governorship. Trump is behind Abbott, like him or not. And Abbott, the thing about politics is it's power. It's what kind of machine do you have behind you? And this is why when people get endorsements, they're like, well, how much money have you raised? Right? I would love to just go endorse a bunch of integrity candidates, but at a certain point, you got to raise some money. So Jasmine Crockett, as voting was closing, she filed a lawsuit, and I lost the clip. I played it to my wife last night. It was a news channel in Texas that was like, okay, voting is open for Democrats till 9 p.m., but it's closed for Republicans at 7 p.m. And the newscasters were looking at each other like, are you sure that's right? He's like, yes, it's closed for Republicans at 7 p.m. It's open for Democrats till 9 p.m. I couldn't find, I had the clip and it just didn't show up. And I was like, I must have been in I don't know. Anyways, that happened last night. It's one of those grainy ones because somebody took a picture of their
I remember somebody getting charged with putting a post up that said something about vote on Tuesday.
Yeah, I know. Well, they were looking back and forth like what? So apparently there was Jasmine Crockett at the close of voting. There were still people standing in line to vote. And so she went and filed for an injunction to keep the polls open. And the junction was partially, I don't know the whole story there. But anyways, They backed off it and they closed the polls at 7 p.m., based on some Supreme Court judgments that have come down in the last couple of years. So Jasmine Crockett, this was her message to her campaign.
We don't have any of the results because there was a lot of confusion today. And so, our Democratic Party chair, Cardall Coleman, he beat me to the punch, as myself and Colin all read. We're about to file a lawsuit to keep the voting polls open. We were able to keep the polls open, but I can tell you now that people have been disenfranchised. The reason that we knew that there were problems is because we were receiving the phone calls and the emails. The polls were supposed to stay open until 9. We were able to keep the polls open. The Supreme Court, just a few minutes ago, just said, shut it down. The Supreme Court also said that they are to separate any votes out that came in after 7 p.m. So here's the deal. I have no idea how it is that clerks are going to know who was in line by what time, because the rule is that if you're in line by 7, then you get to vote. And so once there was a court order saying you had until 9, I'm sure that there were people that joined the line after 7. They now are telling them that you have to separate the votes out. What this means is that we will not know what votes are to be tallied from Election Day out of Dallas County. For sure, we won't know that tonight. So knowing that Dallas County is a big dump of votes, we, in my opinion, will not know the election results overall tonight. We need to see the Dallas County votes to see where they are. I mean, if the early vote comes in, which we may have the early vote soon, if it comes in and I'm losing Dallas County, then we know kind of where this thing is going. So, so that's my news, is that we're not going to have election results tonight, in my opinion, based upon what specifically is taking place in Dallas County.
So sorry for the technical glitch there. Madam Mem, thank you. She sent me the link to the clip. So I'm going to play this clip because it's kind of just one of those, like, you know, sometimes when you hear it come out of your mouth, it just doesn't sound right. And the Supreme Court had to slap this down. So the injunction was granted. And then the Supreme Court apparently was awake last night and they were like, stop.
This year on the primary election, we've just spoken with Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins, who tells us that voting is now extended until 9 p.m. for Democrats in Dallas County. Okay, so that's the latest word from County Judge Clay Jenkins. We're getting confirmation on that, but right now it looks like voting for Democrats in Dallas County extended to 9 p.m. Republicans,
7 p.m.
The cutoff is still 7 p.m. as far as we know.
We'll keep you posted on that. All right, thanks so much. And nearly
Republicans, the cutoff is still 7 p.m.
Okay.
You know, this led Jasmine Crockett to come to a conclusion where it's like, you know, Jasmine, this is what we've been saying.
We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded, because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating, then they will continue to do it.
Yes, that's what we've been saying. That's the Save America Act. As long as you can get away with cheating, you'll continue to do it.
Are you
yes, Jasmine. Clearly, Jasmine is not a member of the Uniparty. Okay, she's not a card-carrying member because they totally burned her on this one. And now she's like, people were disenfranchised. There's voter fraud. If they keep doing it, they're just going to keep cheating, right? And it's like, hey, Jasmine, maybe you can sympathize a little bit with Donald Trump.
Has an impact. Really has an impact. It's bad for both. The saddest is that if the election weren't rigged, my election, that war would have never taken place. And you know what else wouldn't have taken place? Allowing 25 million people to pour through an open border. That wouldn't have taken place. A lot of things would have been different. But we're doing very well. And I think a big factor in this world and future factor is what we're doing right now with Iran.
So he just tied elections and then Iran in the same sentence. Just I'm saying, he's dropping hints pretty clearly, in my opinion, if you aren't already convinced. Now, this John Cornyn race, obviously they dumped a bunch of money into it. If we believe Jasmine Crockett, they cheated. Okay. Rich Barris says the obvious thing out loud. When you see the behavior of Tom Tillis yesterday and some of the other Republicans that really came after Kristi Noem, it's like, listen, we're trying to deport people. Of course, people are going to run. Of course, occasionally we're going to arrest someone that's an American citizen, just like we accidentally arrest people from time to time. We let them right out. You know what I mean? If you refuse to show your ID, well, we'll just assume you're from Mexico, okay, from wherever. So this Cornyn vote, though, Cornyn is like one of these never Trumpers, you know, and he's anti-2A. He's kind of a really bad Republican, but the Uniparty wants him to win. Why?
Look, I'm going to say this, and I know a lot of people are probably going to lose their you know what, but I mean, Cornyn is a Trump conviction vote waiting to happen. He is. I mean, once these primaries are over and I would just caution voters out there to think about this. Once the primary is over and they feel secure, these guys are unchained. So just, I mean, that may be.
Well, particularly this guy, Caroline Brent said that earlier. This guy's 74 years old. He's never going to run again.
Yes,
you'll never have control of him.
Yeah. So now Cornyn is going to be unchanged. And now we've got the primary for Cornyn and Paxton in May, the runoff. So Cornyn will play nice until then. Okay. But you also lost Dan Crenshaw last night. He lost his primary. You don't think Dan Crenshaw hates Donald Trump, right? So unfortunately, there's this little gap of time. And based on that impeachment with Tillis yesterday and the other Republicans,
look, I'm going to say this, and I know a lot
at least Kristi Noem, right? At least Kristi Noem at this point to try to hurt Donald Trump going into the midterms. Trump, if the grand conspiracy case continues on, Trump's going to be able to run, and other people who are on the MAGA train are going to be able to run on government corruption and just the steady stream of Russiagate plotters and whatnot being indicted. And, should happen. I hope. Allegedly, in 3 days, a grand jury is supposed to do something. Okay. And there's also other information that's now in the hands of United States government officials. So, for example, down in Mexico, when they took out Mencho, part of what they did was they raided his compound and they got his computers. General Flynn posted this today.
But he claims that the cartel leader El Mencho, who was just killed, had a list of all the different world leaders that were on it and who was trying to get children, because the drug traffickers make more money at trafficking children. And he has a list of world leaders and powerful people who are asking for certain kids and ages and types. And that list is what they're trying to protect right now.
One of the things that's going to become shocking out of Mencho is we have collected now the intel, the data on his computers and other data communication systems. He has a list, 221, as I think it's counting, of all those global leaders, including many in the United States, who are placing their preference in their order in what kind of child they want to be trafficked across the border. So
is that going to go public? Because that's important that it gets.
It is. If there's anything I can do about it, Sarah, you better believe it's going to be public. But it's the same thing as the Epstein file. They are even now, as we're speaking, figuring out how to shut me up. How do we do it to where we hold people accountable, but still keep the system from collapsing, as you talked about earlier? We have to base our decisions on principle, not on what is expedient.
That's twice now. How do we hold people accountable without letting the system collapse? That's twice now we've heard that in this episode. A random independent, you said, does it sound like a Republican if they have standards to hold people accountable, referencing Tom Tillis, like, oh, he's Mr. Accountability. You, random independent. This is the problem. Republicans are naturally conservative. We want to honor our mother and father, that our days might be long upon the land. Okay. We want to be able to maintain our culture, which means upholding our institutions and our norms and our customs. And when we're faced with something like this, where we suddenly realize we're upholding so much corruption, it'd be nice just to shoot it in the head and watch it fall dead. The problem is they run your local DMV. They run your local water plant. Now, I'm not saying your water plant director is one of these people on Mencho's list, but the guy who signs his paycheck might be. There's only power. Donald Trump can't go free Tina Peters without using military might, essentially, or a police force. So he has to rely on the political power of Governor Polis in his designated authority to deal with that.
And what's he doing?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So how do you hold people accountable without the whole system crashing? Especially when you realize that it's spread across all these key positions. 12 senators, just a couple dozen, and it could be more. I mean, when you really get into the election fraud, you start going back in time. I mean, you could make a really good argument that George Bush Jr. wasn't elected, right? Remember the hanging chads? So Mike Flynn posted that today. Now, keep in mind, even this topic, the Epstein, the child abuse, this is another topic that touches Iran. Rudy Giuliani posted this today. Take a look at Ayatollah Khomeini's Manual of Islamic Law, the Tahrir al-Wasila, page 229, volume 3. If you're squeamish, just go ahead and hit mute, okay? This is going to be for people that are squeamish. I'm sorry. Problem number 11. This is in his book on marriage. According to the stronger and prevalent opinion, there is permission for having with the wife in an unnatural way, i.e. from her backside. With strong reluctance, according to the more cautious opinion, it is better to give up such practice, particularly in the case if she does not agree. Okay. Problem 12. Intercourse with a woman is allowed unless she is not allowed unless she attains the age of 9 years old.
Oh, okay.
Regardless whether the marriage is permanent or temporary. What is a temporary marriage, Ron?
I don't know.
There is, however, no objection in other enjoyments like touching lasciviously, hugging and rubbing the thighs, even with a suckling infant. If a person has had blank with a girl before she has attained the age of 9 years, but has not resulted, this is disgusting.
Oh, geez. Yes, let's be done.
They're bad. They're bad people, Ron. That was the leader of Iran in a published book. And we sit here, I can't even read it. I can't even read it on the air, which is why they get away with it, because we're too ashamed to put it up and say, is this you? Think about all the traction they got on a little locker room video in the Access Hollywood tape with Donald Trump. When you're rich like me, the women will just let you grab them by the boop. Oh my God. Ah! Meanwhile, the same people that freaked out over the Access Hollywood tape are over here defending the Shah of Iran or the Ayatollah. Who wrote that? Do you think they know that? No, they don't, because they don't care. Because they don't care. Because it's a political game to them, because power has always been a zero-sum game. So if Iran helps us stay in power by, paying our Benedict Arnolds, our Pences, if they pay our different people, if China, you know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, I want to order some kids. Iran is part of the procurement process. I mean,
we're keeping power in line with power.
Yes. And what unites them? Apparently very bad things that we, the people, abhor. This is the shoot them in the head kind of situation. The problem is these people were trying to build nuclear weapons. These people have all kinds of armaments down in Mexico and Venezuela and the Darien Gap, right? This is horrible. So while Donald Trump is dealing with Iran, he already dealt with Venezuela, now he's dealing with Iran, he decides to go on a little side quest. Breaking, U.S. launches military operations against Ecuador narco-terror groups. Now, we did this in conjunction with the Ecuadorian military, but we're going on side quests.
Jeez.
When I saw that, that lifted my heart. So I was like, oh, Trump's not backing down. What Pete Hegseth said about we're going to finish this, we're going to take them while they're down, we're not going to let them sneak in the back door. They're going for it, man. They're going for it because it all ties in together. All ties in together. Donald Trump yesterday announced, because so what happened yesterday or 2 days ago, China is pressuring Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The problem is Iran did not close it. 7 insurance and companies in London did. So Trump announced that he was directing Sean Duffy to basically create an insurance program for the ships so that they can go, because London won't insure them. Do you know what a big deal that is?
Oh, man.
That bank in London has a monopoly on merchant shipping.
Oh, man. I do know what this is all about. And this is a lot of money. Not a little bit, a lot of money. And I actually just watched like an hour and a half long video on this. This was not planned. I didn't know that we were taking over the insurance. I just watched a video talking about the insurance, and my eyes were bugging. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much money in this. I had no idea. There are insurance policies, and then there are insurance policies for the insurance policies, and then there are insurance policies for the insurers, and then there are insurance policies for those people, and and it is so much money. It is ridiculous. So if you've got, I think the money they were talking about was like on the order of millions to tens of millions of dollars for each ship just to be insured for the transit. And that was just per port.
Yeah.
So
this is a big blow.
Yeah.
This is a big, big blow.
Each tanker, think about this, people, like when the tanker hit the bridge, what do you think that ship hit the bridge? They had an insurance policy of something like $1 billion to $10 billion, which might not be enough for an accident like that. But the cost of that insurance policy, it used to be something like 0.2%. They're changing that to 1%.
Wow.
And so a $10 billion ship is going to have to pay like No, it's going to be like $10 million per port or something like that.
Which, by the way, when people are like, oh, prices are going up because of tariffs, not just tariffs.
Yeah.
Not just tariffs. Okay.
Well, yeah. And the insurance policies that were affecting prices and stuff, that wasn't us. That was somebody else.
That was London. Yep.
Well, until today, I guess.
Yeah. So Mike Flynn posts, no need to worry. @Real Donald Trump is going to underwrite the maritime industry to continue safe freedom of navigation through the Straits of Hormuz. China has zero leverage and they know it. This is what strategic leverage is. And this is what happens when you rely on psychopathic, unreliable partners, which China has had psychopathic, unreliable partners. Okay. So Trump also explains part of this too is there's a big break happening between the United States and England. And Trump reminds people again, this is one sit down that Trump had in the White House yesterday. And he's bringing all these topics in and tying them together. And for us who can go that and that and that, and we can kind of lay it out, it's like Trump is absolutely on this. Why can't you rely on London? Why can't you rely on England?
You have places where in the UK, you have a terrible mayor of London, terrible. He's an incompetent guy. But you have Sharia courts. You don't have Sharia courts. You don't want Sharia courts. You have Sharia courts adjudicating law. So it's very simple. Immigration, very importantly, immigration and energy. And you bring it back. Otherwise, you're not going to bring it back. Okay.
It's that simple. They got Sharia courts in London adjudicating law. Oh, Donald Trump, years and years ago, he reminded Don Lemon, when we talk about the people that get raped at the southern border and all this kind of stuff, Donald Trump kind of hears something different. There's the victim, but then there's also
somebody's doing the raping, Don. I mean, somebody's doing the, you're saying it's women being raped. Well, who's doing the raping?
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing the raping? I mean, how can you say such a thing?
Yeah, you got to remember who's doing the raping and who's in charge of stopping it. It's one thing to victim, but at some point, you got to stop creating the victims, Don. Okay? Like, this is a problem here. You got Iran, and what are they doing? I mean, what would you consider that we just read in that book? What would you consider that? Someone's doing that, Don. Someone's doing that. Someone's trafficking these women, Don. It's not just throwing money at Honduras and say, stop sending the women. No, put the rapists in jail, shoot them in the head. And that's what Donald Trump seems to have an agenda to do right now. Oh, man. Okay, let's see here. Let me just review a couple things. There is so much stuff that's happening right now. Let's see.
Dang it. I wish I could read.
Huh? Yeah, go for it.
I was checking to see if I could.
Checking to see if we've got any shameless plugs we can give for you. Yeah, what is the deal with it?
I don't know. Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
Pew. We're doing this one, I guess. What is this? We're doing Rumble Wallet. They can freeze your accounts, shut off your cards, lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks can't protect you. They control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold, on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical bars, each one fully allocatable, verifiable with serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet peer-to-peer and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. The wallet is yours forever.
Woohoo! We need to set up our wallet so that our loyal listeners can
I know you can tell. I hope our audience can tell that we're super focused on making money here.
Yeah, very intently. We put on this high quality show for 19 people on Rumble,
so we can get rich.
It's funny. I had a listener. If you're listening, Gary, I went to the Republican Party meeting on Monday, and a listener. There's actually a couple people in the Republican Party that are regular listeners. So, welcome everybody. We need to get together and take Kitsap back. We got a chair here. We're ready for interviews. So if anybody wants to come in, send a politician in. We want to talk to him.
Absolutely.
But anyways, he came in and he was like kind of asking me about the podcast. He's like, it's kind of small. I started looking into it, and he's like, you do it every day? I'm like, yes, we get up every day and do this podcast for a few people.
And he's probably like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, no, we don't really make any money. The show doesn't even break even.
Yeah.
Folks, we rely on you. So please share the show, repost the show. Every little bit helps. You got to remember, the show is going to be driven by the algorithm, and we're not throwing money at ads. We're doing what we can here. This is content.
And pretty much the ads we read are just the ones that we have to
the ones we have to keep in their quote unquote creator program. Yeah. Okay. Before we wrap up the public side of the show today, I want to show you this video about Iranian history. And it's a little bit incomplete. It goes back to the 1940s or 50s, but you really could go back to the 1910s, 1917, 1919. But this is an example of blowback, okay? There's a series of things that happen. When you make things happen that are not natural in a course of event of a country, it creates kind of a pendulum swing back and forth, okay? So that's what Iran has been happening in Iran for a long time, to the point, like we heard the Iranians saying, like, we're under Islamic Arabic occupation, okay, because of this back and forth. And a big part of the history of Iran is tied in with British oil.
The first commercial oil well was established in 1859 in Titusville, Pennsylvania, USA. By 1900, about 94% of the world's oil came from the USA and Russia. During that same time, the British Empire was known as the workshop of the world and was powered by massive domestic coal reserves. They controlled about 25% of the Earth's land surface and population, but produced less than 0.5% of the oil. This became a major dilemma for the British Navy if they were ever to switch from coal to oil. In 1901, a 60-year lease of 500,000 square miles in Persia was bought by a British millionaire. With the support of the British government, this area, known for having oil seeps since antiquity, was surveyed for oil deposits by British explorers. On May 26, 1908, British explorers struck oil in Masjid-i Suleiman. In 1909, the Anglo-Persian Oil Company was founded. In 1911, Winston Churchill converted the Royal Navy from coal to oil. And in 1914, the British government bought 51% of the Anglo-Persian Oil Company. Persia was now strategically vital to the British Empire. In 1915, the British promised Arab independence in exchange for their help fighting the Ottomans, but later excluded Palestine from the deal. In 1916, Britain and France secretly claimed their own Middle East territories. The French zone was Syria, Lebanon, and southeast Turkey. The British zone was Jordan, Iraq, and Haifa. And the international zone was parts of Palestine. In the Balfour Declaration of 1917, Britain promised a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. In 1920, the League of Nations granted mandates of Iraq and Palestine to Britain and Syria and Lebanon to the French. Leaders loyal to foreign governments were installed. New arbitrary borders were created that ignored the geography and divided ethnic and tribal groups. These new artificial boundaries served only the West for pirating oil fields and creating a deep divide among the locals. With a coup d'etat in 1921, British intelligence installed Reza Khan as the Shah in 1925 and founder of the Pahlavi dynasty. Under British Mandate administration, increased Jewish immigration and land purchases led to the formation of Jewish militias and the Palestinian Uprising, which was suppressed by British troops. During World War II, both Britain and the USSR invaded Iran to steal their oil. Reza Shah was forced to abdicate, and his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was installed. In 1948, the United Nations officially created the State of Israel, and those who had lived there for generations were forced off the land or slaughtered. Approximately 700,000 Palestinians were displaced through a combination of flight, expulsion, and violence, an event Palestinians call the Nakba, or catastrophe. Democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh nationalized the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, taking Iran's resources back from foreign invaders. And with another coup d'etat in 1953, the CIA and MI6 overthrew him and strengthened the Shah's authority. All of this chaos, created by foreign invaders, caused an anti-Western sentiment that greatly contributed to the 1979 Islamic Revolution, led by the Ayatollah Khomeini, who does have the appearances of being a British MI6 agent. If the son of Mohammad Reza Shah, Reza Pahlavi, is installed as the new leader of Iran, It is just the latest act of criminal theater perpetrated by the thieves who sway world governments. Greg Reese reporting.
That did go back in history far enough.
Yeah.
So a clip that started in the 50s. That's pretty good breakdown there. And you can see Iran has been the center of this oil grab in the last century, and that has got them a foreign leadership. You know what I mean?
It's kind of interesting also just to see on the side how Israel was treated.
Yeah. And what did Trump just say before? He said immigration and oil, right? Energy. If you lose it, you don't get it back, which is again why if you're going to cut off the oil supply, we got to do something about it, which is what was the impetus from the West to be invading over there. But that's a country. That's a culture. That's their land. That's their resources. What are we doing over there?
Stealing it.
Piracy. Which goes to explain this. This is coming from the Promethean Project. And I pay attention to these quite a bit. Donald Trump posts it pretty often. And this is one of their analysts talking about how Iran, just like you saw there, has been the center of this British banking/oil cartel. And Donald Trump is disrupting that. Again, it's not just that he's getting rid of the Ayatollah and he's going to give it back over to Britain or something like that. I think Trump has a different direction he's heading. Okay.
Years of British manipulation of American policy is shattering right out in the open. When the strikes began on Saturday, Britain's position was extraordinary. The UK was informed Friday afternoon, not included. Starmer refused to let the US use the British bases in Diego Garcia or in Britain itself. Britain refused not because it developed a conscience about international law. It refused because it's no longer running the table. And the British press admitted that it is the end of the game for the special relationship, with a headline that read, Starmer faces greater quandary over special relationship after Iran attack. And that article pointed out that Starmer appears to have had little influence on Trump, who went ahead regardless. Now, a conservative British channel put it even more bluntly in terms of the damage that's been done to the special relationship.
What are the implications, Piers Pottinger, for the special relationship in the context of Starmer's refusal to help?
I don't know, but I
don't think the Americans will forget.
No, I don't think so. And I think Trump will be, if indeed it's true that he wanted to use our bases and we didn't allow him, I think he will not forget that or forgive it.
But it wasn't just Britain. France, Germany, and the UK issued a joint statement clarifying first and foremost they did not participate in the strikes. Not a statement of strategy, a statement of absence. And the best the European Union could manage was Ursula von der Leyen sending a message to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And here's what she said. As our strategic partner, we will work closely with you to de-escalate and safeguard regional stability. You can count on our full support in these turbulent times. The European Union Gulf Cooperation Council partnership will only get stronger in the period ahead. Now, the responses to this on X were brutal. One commentator appropriately rephrased it, quote, in other words, Trump won't take my call, and we have no clue what's going on. That's exactly right. And the statesman drilled down on the same point. The Iran war makes it official. America is breaking with Europe. So the special relationship is cracking in public. When Tehran calls, it calls Washington, not London. And the question worth asking is, how did that special relationship actually work? Not the photo ops and the state visits. What was the real mechanism? Part of the answer is former Prince Andrew. Let's go back to 2008 when the British were still happily directing American foreign policy. Andrew, then Britain's special representative for international trade, sat down in Kyrgyzstan with a room that included businessmen, government officials, and the American ambassador. The American ambassador wrote it all down in a cable, later published by WikiLeaks. And she told people that what Andrew told the room with astonishing frankness was the following. The United Kingdom, Western Europe, and by extension, you Americans too are now back in the thick of playing the great game. And this time we aim to win. He wasn't being metaphorical. He was describing it to an American diplomat on the record, the actual operating framework of British foreign policy. Not the public version dressed up in democracy and human rights, but the real version in his official capacity as Britain's trade representative. Now Andrew's been arrested, the first royal arrest in centuries, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The Epstein files contain evidence he was passing confidential trade reports into Epstein's networks. So the man who bragged about winning the great game was running British strategic intelligence through Jeffrey Epstein. That is not a personal scandal. That is the operating method of the imperial apparatus, now on public record. And shortly after Andrew's arrest came the arrest of Lord Peter Mandelson, who had been appointed by Starmer as Britain's ambassador to Washington, sent to manage the special relationship at the very moment Trump came in for his second term. The Epstein files show that Mandelson was passing advanced knowledge of British financial policy into the same networks. So the geopolitical operative and the financial operative, both out on bail, arrested, both exposed at the same moment the apparatus itself is being dismantled. The Iran strike ended the special relationship, and it's out in the open. Britain is sidelined. Europe is issuing statements of absence. Tehran is calling Washington. And simultaneously, the men who ran the real special relationship, Andrew running the geopolitical side, Mandelson running the financial intelligence, are on the chopping block, taken off the board together. This is not a coincidence. This is the end of geopolitics. Now, ending an entrenched system is not easy, and it is dangerous. That is why you have to stay focused and on the stage of history. So join Promethean Action so that we can see this through to the end.
All right, Black Swan events. Black Swan events. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. So we decided to go after Iran, and in the process of going after Iran, we had to get over there, right? And so we've got bases all along the way. Gibraltar, Spain, Portugal, all these different places. Diego Garcia. And as we were doing the buildup, these different nations got weak in the knees. Said, you can't use our bases, including one extreme example, Spain. Can't do anything here. So Trump responds, we're in the great game, except we're going to win, not Britain. We're going to win, not as their partners. They can get on board or not. But what they've been doing this last century is a mess. And Britain dragged us into a lot of that. Okay. Britain dragged us into a lot of that. So Trump, just like he does, if you like him, he gives you big praise and reward. If you don't like him, he maximizes the pain and pressure. So Spain's like, hey, we don't want to assist. We don't want to help take out the bad men. Okay.
Everybody was enthusiastic about it. Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases. And that's all right. We could use their bases if we want. We could just fly in and use it. No one's going to tell us not to use it. But we don't have to. But they were unfriendly. And so I told him, we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they would have agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
Whoa.
So we're cutting off all trade with Spain. So either Spain immediately course corrects and comes to the table, or they get on the opposing side of the thing. And unfortunately, they're a bridge from Africa right into Europe.
Yep.
And a lot of migration has been coming through Spain, right? That's a scary thing.
And with Europe falling, it actually makes sense that some of these money centers move to America. So I like it. I like it that he's taking over shipping, and this is going to hopefully ensure that the petrodollar is the dollar of the day.
Hopefully, yeah. So speaking of petrodollar, we're going to talk about crypto. Trump made a statement about the Clarity Act. We're also going to talk about a huge hack on the LexisNexis network.
Oh.
Okay. Should be, if it weren't for the fact that we were bombing Iran, would be the biggest story on the planet. We'll talk about that in the premium side in the private. Okay. So please stick around for that if you can. We're also going to address some situation with Nick Fuentes and a couple other fun ones in there. So we started out with Bill Clinton, right? Hitting on Nancy Mace right there in the middle of a deposition. Here's Bill Clinton having an email read back to him from Ghislaine Maxwell and to someone else, or to Ghislaine Maxwell. I can't remember. So we're just going to end on this. Like attracts like, right? When you think about the cabal and who's been running the world for the last little bit, and you think about all the nefarious things, the trafficking, drugs, gun, humans, okay? When you hear something like this, and it's just like, some of these guys are just kind of dirtbags. And the fact that this would get written down in an email.
So again, it's from GMAX, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, I read it.
We believe, well, it's redacted. We, having seen the unredacted files, we believe that the two is to the same email. It says, sorry to hear about the Bellsberg stuff is bad news. Even worse, that it may be damaging. You know that one one of my pet fears is that in London, I am press toxic. So I hope that I never add to your woes in that department. If I hear anything, I will, of course, let you know. I could not help myself. There was one juicy little bit tidbit I did let out, the one about what a super stud that you are and how I have a crush on you and how you are hung like a horse. And, well, you get the picture. Hope you don't mind. Are you familiar with this email?
Are you saying at the time it was sent or in the preparation for this?
At the time that it was sent, were you familiar with it?
Oh, no.
Are you familiar with it before?
Yeah, it's now famous.
Okay, well, what can you tell me about your knowledge of this email?
So if his knowledge is only from when he was prepared for this hearing, that would have been with his counsel. Or is that what are you asking for outside of any preparation for this hearing?
Mr. President, do you believe that Mr. Band sent this or received this email?
I do.
Okay.
So Ghislaine Maxwell, while she was trafficking women to Jeffrey Epstein, had a crush on Bill Clinton and told people openly he was hung like a horse. Oh my goodness. Out with a blaze of glory we go. All right, guys. All right. We will talk to you guys in the private. The rest of you, we will see you tomorrow.